In the last lesson, I discussed with you the various types of visualizations: tables, bar charts, line graphs, maps, pie charts, and scatter plots. For this lesson, you will follow along and create some examples of the more popular of these visualizations. We are going to use the Sales Superstore dataset that you already connected to in Course 1. If you weren't with us for Course 1, check the resources to see how to connect to this data. Okay, let's get started.
Before we begin, I just want to say one caveat, and that is we're not necessarily going to be showing you the best, and I'm using air quotes, the best way to do a visualization. I'm just illustrating the types of visualizations you can do to really wet your feet. And actually, that will help in some ways to help you decide what is the best visualization. But I'm not going to talk about which is the best for the particular one in this particular lesson. We'll be using Tableau Public version 10.0. That's the latest version of Tableau, so if you just downloaded it in the past few weeks, it's not a problem. Otherwise, you could use other versions, but that's the one that we'll be using for this lesson. Let's open the Sales Superstore dataset. Make sure that if it's not available in your Tableau instance, that you actually open it from the path on your computer where you saved it. So the path that I'm going to go to is not necessarily, it definitely won't be, frankly, the path where you have your version of the Sales Superstore dataset. So when you're following along, just keep that in mind. Go to Connect to a File and click on Excel. Then open the Sales Superstore dataset. You will see the tab marked Data Source below. That means you know that it has been successfully imported into your Tableau instance. Now I want you to drag the order sheet, like I'm doing here, to where it says Drag Sheets Here. I'm just going to do it again with my mouse just to show you what's going on here. Tableau will then think about it for a few seconds, depending on the speed of your computer. And once it's done, please click on Sheet 1. For our first example, we're going to start with the table, also known as a crosstab or a cross-tabulation. Now, I often use these terms interchangeably, even though I shouldn't, and I apologize now if I keep interchanging them. So if you hear crosstab or cross-tabulation, I mean table. Sorry. Okay, let's do this. Let's drag the category field to the rows, the measure names to columns, and the measure values get dropped in as values. This quickly and efficiently summarizes all of the measure fields that you see here in terms of the categories in the data set. Now I'm just going to throw in the subcategory field so that I can get even more detail. And here it is. It's immediately evident that it is already too overwhelming for a big PowerPoint presentation, especially a public presentation or something that you're doing for a big audience. And that's fundamentally the major drawback of a table. It's just not very good in a big presentation. And it's likely there will be a better way to focus the attention towards the data of interest. However, the table is best used when there is a mixed audience that will need to view your visualization. Each member of the audience might be interested in a specific row or a specific set of data. Also, there are specific or different units of measurements, and it's sometimes easier to show it in a table. Just because it might look boring or plain doesn't mean it's not an important mode for communicating results, even in a sort of cutting-edge way. It is just as cutting edge and, more importantly, just as crucial as any other type of visualization. So please, please, please don't underestimate its power or purpose in data visualization. One final point on crosstabs. Nothing compares to showing tables in an appendix. Just in case people are curious as to the underlying data, it's really helpful for people who do like to delve into the details. And it's appropriate, especially if you're doing some sort of a fixed type of report, a paper report that people print off. What we have on the screen naturally lends itself to the next type of visualization, which is what I call and what most people call the heat map. You can think of the heat map as part of the family of tables or cross-tabulations, but I like to think of heat maps as a super table or a souped-up table. In other words, it's one that uses our sense of color and our sense of how we can focus the eye on different types of colors in our presentation. All I'm going to do here is to take out everything but the profits, then use the Show Me button, which is on the upper right-hand corner of the screen, the Show Me button, and click on the Highlight table, not the heat map. Why? Because for whatever reason, Tableau makes a distinction between a heat map and a highlight table. Virtually everyone calls a heat map what Tableau refers to as a highlight table. So just remember that if you choose to use a different visualization tool, and so the idea is that you want to have the highlight table. So click on the highlight table, and then you'll see what I am showing you in front of your screen as well. What we can see here is that the losses are immediately evident, as are the most profitable products. You can see why I say it's a souped-up table. And while the tables and heat maps give us a lot of information, as you can see, humans are naturally drawn to even more visual things. So that means we really need to be able to see and understand the information in a graph of some sort. Which is why I'm going to now illustrate the most important visualization of all, the bar chart. And you notice I said the most important visualization, and that's because it's widely used. We tend to look down upon bar charts because they are so widely used, but they're essential and their use can illuminate ideas very effectively. So now I want you to click on the Show Me tab. Again, it's on the upper right-hand side, as you can see where you see my mouse. And I want you to click on the bar graph. Wow! Even better is when I go ahead and drag the profit measure to color to show very quickly the furniture, especially the bookcases and tables are losing money. That wasn't as evident when viewing the stuff before, even with the heat map. There are different varieties of bar charts. For example, when I click on the Show Me tab and then click on the stacked bars right here, we can see something really cool, that the total profit by category is highest for technology and lowest for furniture. It wasn't evident before, but this makes it really clear that there's definitely a lot more profit in technology. And you can see kind of what's happening here. Now I want to show you a scatter plot. And this is to see if there's any trends or relationships that we can't see yet. For this, we need two measures. So let's take category off the sheet and add discount. Ugh. Oh my goodness, there must be something wrong. Why? We only see one dot. That makes no sense, right? Yes, it makes no sense. So we need to do something else that isn't intuitive and not always easy to find in Tableau. So please try to remember this when you're doing it on your own. Please go to the Analysis menu option above. Does your computer or does your screen have the Aggregate Measures option checked? Just click it and voila! The reason we uncheck the aggregate measures here is because we're not wanting to show a summary of the data, but in fact, we want to see each data point in order to determine whether there's a trend between each and every single data point at a given item. But of course, now the scatter plot is actually disaggregated, and we still really want to be able to illustrate things in an aggregated way to allow our eyes to focus on one thing. So for a scatter plot of this sort, a trend line is almost always what will be used. So let's do that. Click on the Analytics tab over on the left-hand side. So just follow where my mouse is going all the way to the left, and you'll see there's an Analytics tab. I want you to click on that. Drag the trend line to the linear model. We're picking the linear model because it's the easiest to interpret. Basically just a straight relationship between the two axes. So we see a line that shows a weak negative correlation between discount and profit. The implication here is that the deeper the discount, the less profitable the sales were. It's very interesting insight, actually. It shows that there is a point at which giving discounts may sell more, but it's at the cost of profits. And if you're in a for-profit business, profits are what it's all about, right? All right, so I can go on forever because this stuff is just so fun, just seeing the different types of visualizations. But I just wanted to give you an overview of the main types of charts and graphs. We'll be delving into how to choose the right graph or chart in the very next lesson. And so this lesson goes very much hand in hand with that one. So we want to make sure that you just leave everything on the screen. Just go to the next lesson. We'll continue our exploration of data and visualization. See you then.